you for joining us. Topping the news tonight, the members of the Constitutional Commission bringing the informational campaign on the amendments to the Constitution on gender equality to Grand Bahama today. This morning, members of the Grand Bahama Christian Council were able to hear about the 4 equality bills that Bahamians are expected to vote on come November 6th. Some members of the Christian community had some reservations about the bills, and today Commission members were able to address their concerns. Shashina Roll was there.
With over 200 churches on Grand Bahama, only a handful of pastors attended the informational seminar on gender equality. Among the Constitutional Commission committee was former minister under the F&M government, Teresa Moxie Ingram, who told pastors in attendance that there is a bipartisan approach to these bills.
We have now come at this exercise for a second time. Ladies and gentlemen. This time with a bipartisan approach. This time with the whole idea and the reality that both the governing side of our parliament as well as the opposition side of our parliament have gone on record, public record, as saying this is something we all believe in, this is something that we feel passionately about, and this is something that we wish to see happen in our Commonwealth at this time.
The discussion was led by retired Justice Ruby Nottage. She showed the clergyman a map that listed countries in the world that limit women passing on their citizenship to their families.
Let me read you the names of some of the countries. Lebanon, Iran, you know that's where they beheaded that man just the other day. Iraq, Bahrain, Qatar, Libya, Somalia, Malaysia, Brunei, Burundi, Swaziland. These are all countries from the Middle East, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and most of them follow Muslim law or Sharia law. And so it is not unusual that they do not, in their laws, their secular laws, permit women to pass on citizenship to their families.
Only 3 countries in the western region limit women from passing on their citizenship, and that's the Bahamas, Barbados, and Kiribati. Unlike the Bahamas, these 2 countries have already begun changing their laws. The most controversial bill, particularly for pastors, was Bill number 4, which seeks to end discrimination based on sex. She explained thoroughly to the pastors what sex means under the law.
The government has 30 seats. So you see how close it is. If the government is to pass this by themselves, they have a room for only losing 1 seat. All right? Because they only have 30 members. And the bills must pass with 3/4, which is 29. So what has to happen numerically is that you need to think of a bipartisan approach, which is important. That's a part of our democracy. You should not have one group telling you what to do and the other is just ignored.
She adds that there are 38 members in the House of Assembly and 3/4 or 29 votes are needed for approval.
If you were to have a case brought up in the protection of your fundamental rights and freedoms, and you were to say, my fundamental right of having life, liberty, and the person protection of the law is based on my color, my creed, or my sex, it means that as a male or a female, you have these rights. It doesn't mean anything else. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you have a sexual preference to be female, even though you're male. That isn't what this is saying. This is saying that on the basis of your sex, meaning male or female in this society, you have these rights.
Shashina Roll, ZNS Network News.
President of the Grand Bahama Christian Council, Reverend Peter Pinder, among those attending the meeting held by members of the Constitutional Commission.
Very pleased with the exercise. I believe that the information given was very helpful and it was presented in a manner that enables us to share it with other people. So I am so grateful, and personally my fears were relieved when it was explained regarding section 26.4 that ensures that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Other pastors say they are pleased with the informational seminar and they are now better informed.
I think for the most part you're going to get Bahamian people approve this. I believe Bahamian people believe in gender equality, but they just want to get it right.
I believe it was very informative and extremely helpful to those of us as church leaders. I think now we have a clearer appreciation for what the amendments are trying to achieve, and so we can help our people to arrive at an intelligent decision.
The church is one thing. You can have beliefs in the church and so forth and so on. The state is another. The church can discriminate as much as it wants to based on its beliefs, but the state ought not to. The state ought to ensure that all of its citizens are protected.
We really wanted to hear and understand what this is all about. And based on this Constitution, it's very important for us to be involved as ministers so that we can take it back to our congregation and be able to share what we have heard here today. I believe that it was very successful. And again, I do support most of the bills.
Well, this afternoon, members of the commission met with police and defense force officers at police headquarters to encourage dialogue on the 4 bills before Parliament. Commission member retired Justice Ruby Nottage says they want to clear up any misinformation that may be associated with these bills.
The police are a very important aspect of any community. They really will tell you where the heart of the community is. They know instances where families are hurting. They know instances where there's severe need. And so if you speak to them and clarify for them the issues that are being presented, you're not speaking to just one person. You're speaking to at least 5 others and even more, because the police know the scene. And we feel that they have to understand the scene. They have to understand what they're working within. And so if we can clarify the issues for them, I think that that is a very big step.
This is the Constitutional Commission's first visit to Grand Bahama since the bills were tabled in Parliament. Justice Nottage says the meetings on Grand Bahama have been fruitful and they plan to return to hold another meeting with the Christian Council and other sectors of the Grand Bahama community.
And then to meet with actual church audiences and NGOs, some of the social groups, and even into the unions. I'd like to meet like the teachers union. I'd like to meet some of the hotel workers unions. These are all important people who need to know of their constitution and understand the amendments that we're about. So the next time we're probably going to target the hotels, we'll target the teachers, and we'll probably even go farther afield than Freeport. We'll go into West End and up to High Rock and meet people who really want to hear what this is all about.
As plans continue for Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival next year, the Minister of Tourism is highlighting the significance of this festival to the country's #1 industry. Minister of Tourism Obi Wolshcombe says next year is going to be major for the country with the launch of the Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. He says the cultural festival is all about celebrating who we are as a people.
We're seeking to cause people to understand that we want to share with them what makes us who we are. We're a country 41 years old, and look where we are after 41 years compared with many other countries. We've had our ups and downs, but we've had changes. We've had a democracy that works, and we've been able to, notwithstanding any difficulty, rise as a people. Junkanoo reflects that, because when you see the people of the Bahamas, you hear the pulsating sounds, you see Bay Street, you see the wonderful creativity.
Minister Wolshcombe says as we take our culture to the world, Bahamians will play a greater role in the promotion of the islands.
We've entered into a new era where we're focusing on Bahamians. We're focusing on using Bahamians in our marketing. We're focusing on using Bahamians as the product And we intend now to cause people to know that there's more than they do know about the Bahamas. And so our carnival, our Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, will be a major celebration.
But he told the business community that the success of the destination will take a concerted effort.
We're trying to get everybody involved, no matter if you're sweeping the streets or you're running the big major corporation. You have to be involved in what we're seeking to do. You have to be involved in causing this country to return. We're seeing wonderful signs now. Growth is coming back. But for it to happen, we have to continue to march forward. We've got to continue to work hard. But we can't work hard only as a government. The people of the country, the business people of the country, all must work collectively.
Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival will begin next May. Immigration officers on Grand Bahama taking 10 Cuban migrants into custody. 9 adult males and 1 adult female were brought to Grand Bahama yesterday on board a U.S. Coast Guard ship and handed over to local authorities. Reports state that the migrants were stranded on Elbow Key in the Key Sal Bank area and were spotted a few days ago in an abandoned building by personnel on board a U.S. Coast Guard aircraft. The Cubans were rescued on Tuesday and transported to the Coast Guard cutter William Flores, brought to the Lucayan Harbor and handed over to immigration officers. The Cubans will be processed and transported to New Providence to await repatriation. Meanwhile, a 20-year-old man convicted on the charge of killing in the course of dangerous driving. Tyrell Hepburn of Mallory Lane appeared before Magistrate Debbie Ferguson and pled guilty to the charge and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. According to the evidence in the case, Hepburn was driving a vehicle in the vicinity of Granville Avenue last year when he tried to elude police officers as they conducted a traffic stop in the area. Hepburn's vehicle collided into another car and then struck 30-year-old Randy Russell, who was riding a bicycle at the time. Russell was taken to hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. That accident occurred on February 6th of last year. Stay with us. There's more news after this.